Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Cosmic Compass, where we explore what it means to live in alignment with your highest self, to embody multidimensional truth in this very, very human experience, this very tender experience, and just to remember that you are the creator of your reality, even when it comes to relationships, right? You're never the victim, you are the creator in your relationships. And today's video is one that is so close to my heart because if you have ever loved someone so deeply and who has been hurting and you felt yourself start to absorb their pain, this is for you. Okay? I've been there. I still land there sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Still learning, especially if you're wired like me and you're intuitive and sensitive and really pick up on people's energy before anything has ever really been said, then you can probably relate. And for a long time, I thought that love meant absorbing, like being the sponge and being the fixer. And if I didn't lighten their load, I wasn't doing my part. That really was my assumption and the frequency I was putting out there. And I'm really learning that real love does not mean carrying someone else's suffering. It really means holding space without absorbing it. It means trusting the divine intelligence in them, even when part of me feels like unraveling and panicking and trying to protect them, right? Out of my human nature. So I'm going to try to break this into incremental parts, but yeah, love for me often shows up, like that type of love shows up in relationships. And there was a moment not too long ago where someone that I love very deeply was going through something very challenging and heavy, and I immediately felt a part of me activate. Like, okay, how do I fix this? How do I offer support and help them move through this faster? How do we get in on the affirmations? How do we help this integrate this? Yeah, like just full on problem solving mode. But if I'm being completely honest, that is not coming from the most grounded place, not the most grounded love. It comes from anxiety and a place of discomfort and this fear of losing connection. And it's wild because on the surface, it might seem like, oh, wow, this is so helpful and so conducive to someone else's healing. But it's just that I didn't want to feel the weight of that emotion anymore and that discomfort myself. And that's when it hit me, right? When this isn't even about them. This is about me not knowing how to sit with my own discomfort and how to sit with the unknown with someone that I really love and care about and without trying to change it. And that fear of the unknown is super scary, but it's also full of possibilities. And so something I've been learning, got a little grass on me, something I've been sitting with this notion of Kabbalah, right, called the Tikkun. And the Tikkun is that each spiritual soul has its own soul correction, right? And its own journey of becoming. And sometimes that journey includes pain and includes not knowing and it includes making what looks like mistakes. And if I try to step in and try to carry their lesson for them, I might be actually blocking the very thing, the very expansion that their soul has come here for. And that has been a very humbling realization for me because it means letting go of the idea that I know better, really embracing humility because I don't know better. The truth is I don't know better than them. And it means shifting from I have to help to I have to trust. And that is a very vulnerable place. It is a very vulnerable place because you don't know. Really letting that sink in. It's really hard. And it's a very humbling realization because letting go of this idea that I know better, right? It's like shifting from I have to help to I have to trust. Like I have to let go and trust. And Neville Goddard talks about the law of assumption and how the states that we occupy in this world are what actually becomes our reality, right? So if we assume someone is stuck or broken and needs saving, then I'm collapsing the quantum field into that version of them. But if I decide to shift into the assumption that they are divine and they are protected and they are whole and that their soul knows exactly what it's doing, then suddenly the quantum is collapsing into that reality, right? And the dynamic changes. And that's not because I said anything differently, but because I showed up differently. And the assumption that I carry actually shifts that dynamic, right? So there's also this Alan Watts um, metaphor, right? This quote that I come back to time and time again, and I wonder if it'll land for you too. But it's just to invite you to question, like, what if your sacred role was not to be the wave, but the shore that it safely crashes against. And this line really softened something in me because it took away like this fact that love means doing something, but rather it means being something and being steady and being grounded and being sovereign on your own. And it doesn't mean that you have to be striving or earning it, right? Like, or have an attachment to that outcome. And if you come from a place of rooted trust and know that even if things are messy and painful on the outside, like there is something larger unfolding, right? And that's what I have to like constantly learn every day when I just hold them right and hold them not right in a moral sense, but like in the sense of like I am a mirror. Then something really powerful shifts instead of trying to take accountability or onus, right? And it's a very subtle shift. Like it's not something dramatic, but it's still real. Like it's like it has ripple effects, but it's um, really like listening to a very soft inner knowing. So, what do I actually do when I catch myself absorbing someone else's pain? Because this is real, right? And it still happens. Because I'm not immune to this like magnetic pull to fix or soothe or prove through, self-sacrifice. Like I'm really trying to still unlearn those things simultaneously. But what I've come to realize is the work goes beyond just the physical moment, right? It's really not just what's being said out loud. There's so much happening behind the scenes. There's so much going on behind the scenes. There's so much energy moving through the invisible, right? And it's not just about what you say or you do, it's really the frequency that you are holding and the assumptions that you are anchored in and the unseen world you're choosing to collapse into form. And that's where things get really, really powerful, right? Like, I think there's like this paradox of sinking into taking accountability. When you take full accountability for your life, you actually are surrendering. So this is what I do. I pause and check in with my body. As I've said in past videos, I put one hand on my heart, one on my belly, and I just like am I holding this because I don't trust their path, or am I seeing them from their struggle, or am I seeing them as their soul? Those are two very pivotal questions. And then I shift my awareness and say, like, even if they're in front of me and things are feeling heavy and I feel like I'm about to get looped into something, I bring my focus inward and I call in the highest version of them, right? First, the highest version of myself, but also the highest version of them, and the version of them who is clear, who is wise, who is empowered, who is connected to source. And I don't wait for that evidence to show up in the 3D, right? I bring it forward through my assumption. That's what Neville Goddard teaches, right? Through your assumption, through your focus, through your inner knowing. And if you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, right? If you assume it by you embodying that state, it's not waiting for it to show up. It's about selecting that version and then aligning with it. When you do that, the person in front of you actually is different because you are changing your focus and your frame of reference. So when I attune to their divine self, right, when their human is like flailing around, right, something shifts, something really shifts. And I really encourage you to try this out. And sometimes the dynamic shifts completely. Sometimes nothing on the surface really changes, but I'm at least the spaciousness, I have that spaciousness to not override the process, and that helps. And it's no longer like I'm a participant in this chaos, right? I become a conductor of clarity in that moment, not for them, but for myself. And through that, I can hold space and create that container. And just remembering you are a creator in every moment, even in your relationships, even in conflict, even in silence, you are constantly creating. So when I choose to show up with this quiet conviction that their light is stronger than their wound, that becomes the reality that we begin to co-create with, right? Even if they don't see it for themselves. And I'm not coming from a savior complex, really the opposite of that. And how can you hold on to that until they can remember, right? And to me, that really is the true power of love. Like, to just be able to see someone and understand someone and witness them without trying to change them, you know? So, if you're in this too, if you love so deeply and sometimes find yourself like losing footing in other people's emotions, I just want to say, same, same, right? You're not broken for caring that much, for caring or carrying, right? You're not too much for feeling that much. And you don't have to carry it all just to prove your love, right? Just really trying to reframe that. You don't have to shrink to meet someone else where they're at. You really don't. You get to hold your own frequency and you get to stay rooted in your own truth. And you get to love from that place, right? When you choose to love from that place, those things will be a byproduct of that, right? Your world will has to conform. And I don't have it mastered. There's days that I catch myself bending and overextending and going quiet when I really want to speak. Like, I'm still working on it. I'm really still working on it. But I keep coming back to this, that I can love without rescuing. I can be soft without being porous. And I can trust that their soul is on track, even when their behavior isn't really matching my preferences or how I see them in their highest light, right? And we're not here to save people, right? We're here to see them. We're here to hold the vision of who they really are, even if they forget it for a little while. Um, and in doing that, we get to really remember who we are too, right? And you're not like having to come from a place of lack or deficit or strive or achieve. Like, you can just be, and that's simply enough. That's simply enough. So if this resonated with you, I really encourage you to subscribe and like and share. It really helps me get like more reach and engagement. I'm sure it will land with the right people, the people who need to see it. But yeah, I'm holding you right there with you. Um, and just know that, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, to really just occupy that presence, like, that people really do not want to be saved, right? Because it really does take away from their agency and their autonomy and their ability to expand. Like, that's the overarching message here. And to just realize that, you know, the more that you can just allow for them to occupy that space and expand on their own, but be a supportive guide, you really change the dynamic. You really change the game. Anyway, I'm out here in this very humid weather, but there's no place I'd rather be than outside, even if it's stinking hot. I am wishing you a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.